the concept of extreme ownership and how it plays out, again, in a construction setting.
Extreme ownership is the concept that you're not going to blame anyone else or anything else when something goes wrong. You're going to take ownership of that problem and you're going to get it solved. That's what extreme ownership is. And this has a massive impact in any organization if they have this attitude. It's the people that say, oh, it wasn't my fault. Oh, that's not my job. Like those are the people and those are the teams that fall apart. When you have someone and you have a team and an organization where they say, hey, supplies didn't get ordered. You know what? I don't think I gave Aaron a good enough heads up on what we're gonna need and when we're gonna need it. Hey Aaron, next time I wanna get with you beforehand, make sure you understand exactly what it is we're getting done. So instead of me just pointing the finger at you because the supplies didn't show up, that doesn't help, that doesn't solve anything. Instead, I take ownership of the problem. Look, it might have been your job to order the supplies, but guess what? I'm the one that's supposed to let you know when the supplies are needed, what supplies are needed, and make sure that I get this schedule straightened out. So if I take ownership, I will get that problem solved. And by the way, when I say, hey Aaron, the materials didn't show up on time, you didn't order them early enough, what's your natural reaction gonna be? What is it?
I'm gonna get defensive.
You're gonna get defensive. And you're gonna point your finger back at me, or you're gonna point your finger at the supply chain or whatever. And now no one's solving the problem. But when I take ownership and I say, hey Aaron, look, I didn't give you a heads up. I didn't understand the lead time it was gonna take. I wanna sit with you, make sure you understand exactly what we need and when we need it, so that way we get materials here on time. That's on me, but I wanna get it solved. Now, your guard is down, you're not getting defensive. Instead, you look at me and say, hey Jocko, you know what? I understand the supply chain better than you. I mean, now we have both of us solving the problem. Now we're both taking ownership of that problem, and this is how problems get fixed. So the idea of extreme ownership is so powerful inside an organization, because what happens is people on the team, they take ownership of problems, the problems get solved. That's what happens, as opposed to blame game and it's not my fault, in which case we just point fingers, nothing ever changes. Can you go too far with extreme ownership? You can go too far with anything. I mean, let's face it, you can go too far with anything. And extreme ownership is an extremely positive characteristic for an organization or for an individual. But if I start to take ownership of everything, if I'm the guy in charge and I say, hey Aaron, this part, here's how we're gonna do this part of the project. You know, this is what we're gonna do, this is how we're gonna get it done. Well, it's what I was just talking about, right? It's like, now I'm not giving any ownership to you. So it's all me, because extreme ownership, I'm gonna tell you exactly, I'm gonna micromanage you. So extreme ownership can easily turn into micromanagement, which is not what we want. We want decentralized command. Decentralized command is the opposite of micromanagement. Micromanagement, I'm trying to do everything myself and no one's making a move unless I tell them to do it. That's not a way to run a business. So extreme ownership can turn into micromanagement if we're not careful. So yes, even there's a dichotomy with every characteristic that we have as humans, and every leadership principle also there's a dichotomy. If you go to cover and move, right? Cover and move. I'm supposed to support you. I'm supposed to help you. Well, if I start to focus on you so much that I'm not paying attention to my own team, that's bad. Or if I start saying, hey Aaron, why don't I do that? Why don't I do this? Well, then I'm stepping on your toes. And now you're mad that I'm infringing on your part of the job. Or simple, hey, we gotta have a simple plan. So I say, hey, we're gonna show up and we're gonna work. That's a simple plan, right? But it obviously doesn't cover what's gonna happen during the day. So the plan can be too simple. Prioritize and execute. What happens if we look at one priority and everyone focuses on that? That's called target fixation. We actually have a name for that in the military. Target fixation. I'm only looking at one thing, and next thing you know, we get hit from another angle. So decentralized command, same thing. We don't want to micromanage. But what if I'm so far detached that you don't even know what the priority is? You don't even know what the mission is. That's not good. So decentralized command has to be balanced. I have to make sure I'm engaged enough with the team so that they actually know what the mission is, what we're doing, what the parameters are, why they're doing what they're doing. So if you take anything to an extreme, it can become bad, including extreme ownership. Extreme ownership as a mentality about not making excuses is outstanding. Extreme ownership as a mentality of not blaming other people is perfect. It's perfect.